Hey, Psych2Goers. Depression. When does it creep into your life? You never know. I first experienced depression in middle school. As a preteen, I naturally wasn't able to tell how my mind was working differently. Probably the most common features in a scenario like that is depression and sadness being somewhat interchangeable terms for you because you haven't learned the difference yet at that age. In fact, it probably wasn't until my 27th birthday when I realized how truly separate the two were. When I spent a week unable to leave the house despite being in a pretty great mood. And really, for 2/3 of my life at that point, I'd only experienced depression in terms of extreme sadness or lethargy in response to an event, usually interpersonal. Most of what I've learned about it has come from the past 5 years. As a preteen, I experienced a great deal of depression, or sadness as I would call it then, mainly due to academic, social, and presumably hormonal difficulties. Being a perfect example of your inherent shy kid of the family left me nihilistic. I was often finding ways to try to draw attention to myself. Passively, of course, because of shyness. From drawings and writings to song lyrics, I began to express what I was going through in a number of different ways. For the sake of expression and as a way to prove myself as more capable than the person I negatively perceived myself to be. Somewhere between middle school and early high school, I degraded emotionally to a great extent. I began making threats of self-harm and was even pulled out of public school. When this happened, I also went from 110 pounds to a staggering 160 over the course of about 3 months due to the medication I was on. Throughout most of 2002, I smiled in exactly 0 photos, including a professionally done family portrait. I now recognize that this was stated and deliberate, a sort of generalized clapback against the outside world because of how I felt. I would sometimes be needlessly bitter, stubborn, even explosive, and I often spent all evening in my room playing video games or watching TV. Although I never stopped drawing, I did stop experimenting with crafts like collage and writing, etc. The lowest moment was likely after committing a particularly upsetting form of self-harm, which I covered up with a bowling glove. This only attracted attention to it, and in no time the secret was wide in the open, causing me to double down on attention-seeking behavior. There were brushes with depression throughout the decade. A more chronic form of depression arrived in my late 20s as I finally got my bachelor's degree and faced a difficult job market living in Atlanta. A decision was made to apply to grad school. While undergrad was easily one of the happiest periods of my life, grad school was much more complicated and came with persistent bouts of depression and anxiety. I was substantially less social and prone to spending hours laying on the couch, either playing with my phone or doing nothing at all. I would stare at the ceiling or bury my head between the pillow and cushions. Most of grad school was backlit by anxiety and depression, bouncing off of each other. However, I became much more proactive in my mental health as a result, and eventually settled on a prescription regimen that I still follow today. I then started regular therapy for the first time as an adult, which I've mostly kept up with since then. Following grad school, I moved yet again and spent all of 2019 squeezing as much employability as possible out of my extremely narrow window of interest in commercial work. An intensive outpatient program via Zoom kept me afloat on 3 therapy sessions a week. And looking back over the past year, I can see my mood as something zigzagging like the chart of a tumultuous, but slow upward trending company on the stock market. Over time, rock bottom becomes a little higher than before, and the good days become more like actual good days than simply normal. Much of this time was spent in a suffocating, crowded, and dark apartment and taught me an important lesson about considering the mental health impact when looking for apartments on a budget. Over the decades, I've had a number of methods of dealing with depression that weren't particularly healthy. The ones that were healthy, however, often involved distraction or turning to friends. Distraction could mean driving around and listening to music, a rural pastime, for sure, or it could mean something more hobby-oriented. The video game collection I mentioned earlier continues on and off to this day and opened up a little time capsule to turn on in moments of stress and escapism. However, if not handled correctly, this hobby becomes detrimental very quickly. Escapism can limit one's ability to make a real change in their life and improve their situation. Art was far and away the healthiest channel for me to process and express things going on in my life, and it has always run the gamut. I've experimented in essentially every type of drawing I could get my hands on, and most types of paintings and photography. As a preteen, I would work with clay as well as modifying existing toys to make new things out of them. Picture Sid from Toy Story, but less nefarious, even though I had the same t-shirt. More than anything though, simple drawing and writing have been my go-to formats. In pursuing animation, I made films about subjects like depression, anxiety, grief, and emotional dependency. I was able to unload the things that weighed on me and make a recognizable, semi-permanent change in my mental state. As I entered my 30s, I started regular therapy and learned a host of other skills and coping mechanisms, many of which I still use today. I try to walk outside as much as I can, as walks outside can carry a lot of benefits. Others include journaling, mindfulness meditation, and self-parenting. All of these have helped me get through several periods of stagnation to the current day, where I've had a number of breakthroughs as to the causes of my psychological struggles and have been able to work on them directly and make plans for treatment that's not only more effective, but potentially more permanent. Depression arrives in many forms and can disguise itself as sadness, lethargy, apathy, and others. I've learned that recognizing depression can be deceptively difficult because when it's at its worst, it has your mind under its control, and it gets harder to differentiate the real world from the dystopia that depression will convince you is real. Time helps, as does mindfulness, exercise, and spending time with loved ones, if at all possible. And no matter how long you've dealt with it, you can always let your guard down without noticing. It's important to try the things that work, but the most important part is maintaining some semblance of effort trying to wrestle control from depression's grip so you can steer yourself in the right direction. It may mean complete control, or just pulling the wheel in the right direction every time you get your hands on it. Either way, the most important and often seemingly hardest part is simply trying. That often means physically getting up to do something that will make you feel better, not the thing that will give you a burst of dopamine, like frivolous spending or junk food. It's also very important to keep in mind that this is a process, not a simple cause and effect solution. The most important word in this video's title is overcome, as opposed to the past tense, overcame. It can go away, sure, but it will almost certainly take time and it can come back. Dealing with depression is not a singular act. It's a pattern of good habits, the knowledge of what activities will provide you with the greatest improvement in mood and what activities will be a temporary distraction. Your most important decisions when dealing with depression, outside of the medical choices you make, will be the lifestyle you live and the way you treat yourself and others. Has your experience with depression been like this, or different? If you have a perspective you think could help others know when to see a doctor or therapist, please let us know in the comments below. Hey Psych2Goers, have you ever wondered what depression feels like? Or if you have depression, do you struggle with describing how it feels to others? What most people don't understand is that depression is much more than having a bad day or an off week. It's a mood disorder that causes constant feelings of sadness, disinterest, and emptiness. Because it affects someone mentally, physically, and socially, most people don't have a good understanding of what it feels like. So to try to describe what it's like to give you a better understanding of depression, here is how some may experience depression on a daily basis. Number 1, waking up exhausted and drained. Have you ever stayed up really late and woke up feeling awful? Imagine that, but every day. Oftentimes, regardless of how much sleep someone with depression gets, they'll wake up without any energy. This lack of energy makes it hard for them to get out of bed and do daily tasks that seem automatic to people without depression. You can think of depression as an invisible weight that brings you down everywhere you go. You may not be able to see it, but it's always there, making life harder. Number 2, feeling as if there's no joy in life. Have you ever tried to pay attention to a class you didn't enjoy at all? Time seems to go slower, and all you can do is count the minutes until it's over. People suffering from depression might feel as if there's no joy or pleasure in their life at all, making them uninterested in everything, in everyday life. Everyone has a hard time concentrating on things they don't enjoy, such as homework or chores. But what happens when someone doesn't enjoy life in general? Likely, they'll become unresponsive and unfocused on the world around them. So far, do you relate to these 2 points? Psych2Go is about encouraging people to open up about their struggles. Comment below your story if you relate to this, and we'll highlight the most impactful one in a future video. Your story helps others. Number 3, low self-esteem. Do you compare yourself to all the models and influencers on social media? People with depression often do the same, but on a much larger scale. It goes much deeper than thinking that their body isn't picture perfect. Instead, they'll relate it to thinking that they're a failure as a person, family member, friend, and everything else. They may see everyone around them living happily and think it's their fault that they're struggling. Of course, that isn't the case, since depression is no one's fault. But just like trying to stop comparing yourself to social media, trying to stop thinking you're a failure is extremely difficult. Number 4, complicated relationship with food. Do you ever eat because you feel sad, bored, or lonely, even though you're not hungry? Much like eating to pass time, people suffering from depression may use food as a coping mechanism. They could overeat to distract themselves from how they feel or to avoid feeling numb. Or, on the other hand, some with depression may also undereat. They may feel too numb or uninterested to the point where they see all food to be unappetizing. In cases like this, it's important you avoid phrases like, you should be grateful you have the option to eat, or you're taking what you have for granted. Instead, you might wanna listen to why they're not eating healthily and try to keep in mind that it's not something that can be fixed overnight. Number 5, everything feels hopeless. Do you ever feel like things will never get better? Whether pandemic related or not, everyone can think of a time where they felt helpless and hopeless. But people with depression feel hopeless, not just about the state of the world, but about themselves as well. They may think they'll never amount to everything or that they'll never learn how to cope with depression. This constant state of hopelessness can lead to them feeling exhausted and unmotivated all the time. Number 6, unhealthy sleeping patterns. Ever had trouble sleeping? Maybe you were tossing and turning because you were nervous about a job interview in the morning. Many people with depression struggle with this every night. Depression is sometimes linked to other struggles such as insomnia and anxiety, both of which make sleeping even harder. On the other hand, someone with depression could also sleep too much as well, since they may see it as an escape from their daily struggles. Either way, having a healthy sleeping pattern is important for your mind and body, and without one, you're more likely to feel exhausted, irritable, and stressed. And number 7, physical pain. Imagine the worst headache you've ever had. Now imagine getting that around once every 2 weeks. While many people think mental and physical health are completely separate, they actually overlap in many ways. For example, people with depression are more prone to body aches, headaches, nausea, and muscle tension. So while you may have trouble understanding the complex thoughts and feelings people with depression have, you may be more able to empathize with them knowing what physical pain is like. So, did our video help you better understand what depression feels like? If you haven't yet commented your story, we encourage you to either 1, try now to help someone else who's in your shoes, or 2, share this video with someone who might need it. Thanks so much for watching, take care, and see you soon.
Can you relate to this feeling? As soon as your alarm goes off, you roll over and hit snooze. You have to get ready for work, but you just don't want to get out of bed. You have a lot to do today. You've got a big presentation and you have plans with your friends later, but you wake up feeling hopeless and tired instead of excited for the day ahead. Lately, you've been finding it hard to enjoy life. You have low self-worth and feel like there is no point in pursuing your goals. Hopelessness, low self-esteem, and lack of interest and enjoyment are all signs of clinical depression, according to the NHS. If you feel this way too, we want you to know that you are not alone. We're here to support you, give you hope, and help you find ways to get through this. In today's video, we're gonna offer you 4 tips on how to help you cope with depression that are recommended by psychologists and supported by research. We're also going to teach you concepts you might not have heard of, like behavioral theory of depression. Keep watching to learn more to discover new strategies you can add to your mental health toolbox. Build a sense of mastery. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, setting small, achievable goals and celebrating even your little wins can help with depression. How can you implement this into your everyday life? Imagine that you have a school assignment or work project to finish. Doing the whole thing all at once might seem too daunting. Instead of just setting one big goal of completing this project, set little goals along the way. Step 1 might be writing the intro. Step 2 could be doing the background research, and so on. Successfully finishing each of these steps will help you build momentum and feel more confident that you can achieve your larger goal of finishing the project. This is one example of how you can build a sense of mastery. You've probably heard that exercise is an effective way to cope with depression, but did you know that part of the reason why it works is because it helps you build a sense of mastery? Dr. Alan Valentine, chair of the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, recommends exercise to his depressed patients because it helps with depression by providing a sense of achievement. Whether it's finishing a project, building a workout routine, or picking up a new hobby, focusing on mastering small skills can help you cope with depression. Reduce rumination. According to an article published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, people with depression tend to ruminate a lot on negative experiences, which can worsen their symptoms. Ruminating too often can send you into a downward spiral, especially if you're depressed. Do you find yourself getting stuck in negative thought patterns often? Psychologist Alicia Clark suggests using gratitude to stop negative rumination and change your mindset. Let's take a second to try Dr. Clark's gratitude exercise together. Think about 3 things that you're grateful for right now. No matter how small they are, it could be a friend or something that happened today that made you feel happier. Focus on how these things or people make you feel. The next time you catch yourself ruminating about something negative, pause and write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Behavioral theory of depression. Megan Rice, a therapist at Talkspace, says that one way to cope with depression is to add rewards into your daily routine. This technique is based on the behavioral theory of depression. A Journal of Medical Internet Research article states that according to behavioral therapy, doing activities that are important to you and feel rewarding, like spending time with loved ones or pursuing a new hobby, are an important part of treating depression. Having a daily schedule that includes mental health coping strategies can also help you keep active, have something to look forward to each day, and prevent you from falling into a rut. So what are some things that you can do each day that feel rewarding? Leave your ideas in the comments below. Challenge distortions. Cognitive distortions are negative beliefs that aren't based in reality. If you have a bad experience, do you tend to focus on the negative and believe that things will always go poorly? For instance, if you're feeling down, you may have thoughts like, I'll never get through this. I'm always gonna feel sad. This is an example of a cognitive distortion called overgeneralization. A study by Blake and colleagues in 2018 found that people with depression have more cognitive distortions than those without depression. According to Psych Central, one effective way to challenge cognitive distortions is to make a thought log. To create your own thought log, start off by writing down the situations you're in. Then write down everything you're feeling and thinking. Next, write down your answer to the following question. Is there any evidence that these thoughts may not be true? Finally, write down a more helpful alternative thought. The thought log exercise can help you recognize the effect that your thoughts are having on you and help reframe them into something more positive. We hope these tips help you work through difficult emotions and encourage you to find healthy coping mechanisms that work for you. Now we want to hear from you, Psych2Goers. How do you deal with depression? Are there any routines or exercises you do that you find helpful if you're depressed? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below and take a look at the suggestions from others in the community. And always remember that your emotions are valid and you are loved and welcomed in this community. Thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to another video. Did you know if you have depression, you can help your symptoms by avoiding certain foods? There are various ways to treat depressive symptoms. The most traditional route involves talk therapy and sometimes medication. But there are other ways to help battle depression. Self-care and changing your eating habits can be helpful too. Your gut health has a far greater impact on your mental health than you may realize. Research from clinical psychopharmacology and neuroscience shows that the microbiota living in your gut communicates with neurotransmitters in your brain and vice versa via the vagus nerve. So it makes sense that what we put into our gut can impact our mental health. Here are 5 foods you should avoid to help your mental health. Number 1, fast foods. A 2017 paper on immunology by Andrew Miller and Charles Raisin demonstrated a link between inflammation and depression. It found the release of inflammatory cytokines impinges upon the behavior of neurotransmitters and neural circuits, which results in poor behavioral functioning. Inflammation happens when something triggers an immune response. While external factors can cause inflammation in your body, food, particularly fast foods, can exacerbate it. Fast foods typically contain high amounts of refined and artificial ingredients, which make you more susceptible to depressive episodes. A 2011 paper published in Cambridge University Press found that those who consumed processed commercial baked goods were at a higher risk for depression. A similar study was published in 2016 by Springerlink regarding fried foods. Giving up these types of foods may seem a bit strict, but if you must eat processed foods, do so with moderation and sensibility. The best solution is to find healthier substitutes. Number 2, alcohol. Alcohol is another thing you should avoid if you have depression. It is a depressant as it slows down your central nervous system. Because it is a small molecule, alcohol can easily cross the brain barrier and neurologically affect it. It usually contracts your brain and destroys your brain cells while it depresses your central nervous system. Additionally, it interferes between your brain receptors, which causes a disconnect between your thoughts and physical actions. Long-term consumption of alcohol can cause neurocognitive deficiencies and neurodegeneration. It's common to grab a glass of wine or champagne during celebrations, but always drink in moderation. Many people resort to alcohol as a coping mechanism. If this is the case for you, please reach out to a therapist to help you find a better and healthier way to cope with emotional distress. Number 3, salt. Salt is vital when preparing food. It helps highlight the flavor of the ingredients and makes the meal taste better. Also, some salts provide minerals to our bodies. However, in some cases, salt, table salt especially, can be harmful to our health, as it is a refined salt that lacks minerals. This is the kind of salt that usually leads to high blood pressure and heart disease. Not surprisingly, salt can also cause other complications. Studies have shown that salt increases inflammation, harms gut microbiomes, and affects blood flow to the brain. The use of salt can also cause or worsen depression and impair cognitive function. So instead of dousing your food in salt, add a sprinkle. You could also try substituting your table salt for Himalayan or Celtic salt, which has more minerals than the alternative. Number 4, refined grains. Another food you should avoid if you have depression is refined grains. Unfortunately, most of our favorite foods like pizza, pasta, and cake are culprits of worsening mental health. Most commercial foods are made using refined grains, which have none to very little nutritional value. What you're mainly eating is the starchy part of the grain, the endosperm. When you eat refined grains over whole ones, you miss out on the nutrients stored in the germ and the bran. These two contain vitamins, healthy fats, minerals, fibers, and phytochemicals, necessary things that your body and brain need to function well. The endosperm primarily contains starchy carbohydrates, some proteins, and some vitamins and minerals. While most manufacturers inject the endosperm with the minerals and vitamins they initially removed, it's best to eat whole grains. A 2020 study in PubMed.gov by Deborah Gibson Smith and others found that those who ate whole grains were at lower risk for depression and anxiety disorders. So instead of reaching for a refined product like white bread or white rice, try whole wheat, wild rice, or quinoa. You never know, they might become staples in your meals. And number 5, artificial sweeteners and refined sugars. The last food group you should try to avoid if you have depression is artificial sweeteners and refined sugars.
These usually come in the form of high fructose corn syrup or other substitutes like aspartame, saccharin, and acesulfame. While some of these sweeteners may not impact the calories we consume, they certainly have an impact on our health. Overconsumption of exceedingly sweet foods made with artificial sweeteners can make you shun fruits and vegetables and pursue processed foods with a similar flavor profile because sweeteners are highly addictive. A study done on lab mice proved that these sweeteners were more addictive than cocaine. Additionally, overconsumption of these sweeteners may increase your risk for obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. However, the most detrimental repercussion of consuming artificial sweeteners is how they affect your brain. Not only do additive sweeteners produce inflammation, but they can affect brain development. Most of the research surrounding the effects of artificial sweeteners on the brain is vague. However, a 1987 paper from the US National Library of Medicine and National Institutes of Health posited the possible link between a sweetener like aspartame and seizures. It found that increased consumption increases brain phenylalanine, a certain kind of amino acid that could trigger seizures. It did not assert that sweeteners were the direct cause of seizures, but did state that consumption of aspartame can cause seizures among susceptible people. Additionally, a more recent paper by Arvind Chaudhry and others in PubMed.gov explored the neurobehavioral effects of aspartame and its metabolites. They measured neurophysiological symptoms caused by aspartame and warned about adverse neurobehavioral effects. Overall, try not to consume artificial sweeteners. If you have a sweet tooth, opt for foods that contain sugar in their natural form, like fruit. Your mental health begins with your gut health. So treat yourself kindly and make sure you provide your brain and body the nutrients it needs. Have you noticed how you feel if you change what you eat? Let us know in the comments below. Please like this video and share it with someone you think might benefit. As always, the references and studies used are listed in the description below. Until next time, take care.
Depression and anxiety are now being spoken about readily in mainstream society. This means that there are also a plethora of resources that discuss how to deal with it when times are bad. These can range from that grounded in science all the way to the personal testimony taken as fact. So what actually works? One of the more grounded theories is based on diet. Not going on a diet, but what kind of foods you eat. Dietary changes aren't a cure, but they can help with the symptoms of depression. The dietary recommendations have also varied across studies, but there were some similar suggestions that ran through most of them. Let's take a look at those because eating smarter is never a bad thing. Number 1, healthy fats. That's right, fats can be healthy. These fats often have fancier names like omega something or monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Where do you find them? Well, looking at the Finns, they have a diet high in fish, chicken, and cheese that's low in the bad fat group. They found this diet helped protect or prevent middle-aged Finnish men from depressive symptoms. Is it magic? No, it's inflammation reduction, at least partially. See, depression is associated with inflammatory activation of the immune system, and that wreaks havoc on the nervous system. What follows then are all the icky symptoms like fatigue or chronic discomfort. Hey, antidepressants have been shown to decrease inflammation too, so maybe we're onto something. Other places you can munch on these good fats are by eating fish that have their omega-3 game on point like salmon, tuna, and mackerel. Is it just us or do you feel like some sushi too? If you're more on the vegan side of things, avocados and nuts like walnuts and pecans work too. Number 2, plenty of fruits and vegetables. So speaking of them avocados, fruits and vegetables generally do help reduce inflammation in addition to providing vitamins. As if that weren't already pretty sweet, fruits and veggies also have another secret weapon, antioxidants. Hey, that's a real term and a real thing. Keep watching, we'll explain. Depression and anxiety cause oodles of stress. That stress, like any evil entity, has henchmen. One of them is called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress will mess you up. Its activities hinder your body's ability to detox and repair itself and can actually change your brain structure. It's also been linked to other baddies like Alzheimer's, ALS, and multiple sclerosis. So here's where the fruit and veggie superheroes come in. That antioxidant weapon neutralizes the henchman's activities. The henchman causes an imbalance and the antioxidants restore the balance. Evil plan foiled.
You can gear up on this with berries, leafy greens, beets, and bonus, dark chocolate. Yep, we said chocolate. Number 3, to be well, have some B12 and B9. Yes, we meant vitamin B9, as in folic acid, not benign. Although, if you like the pun, we'll take it. Seriously though, folic acid and B12 are both necessary for the production of serotonin. Serotonin, a mood stabilizer, is one of the 5 happy hormones, so you definitely want that production going smoothly. Serotonin is produced in the gut. So when you're feeding yourself folic acid and B12-rich foods, they're feeding it too. So have some poached eggs, cheese, maybe a banana, and be happy. Number 4, love the grain as a whole. Did you know that a grain has layers? You've got the outside bit called the hull, then a fibery bit called the bran. Under that, the starches, and the innermost bit called the germ. Now, we get rid of the hull because that's not really edible. And from the bran to the germ, that is whole grain goodness. Much of the shiny, bright foods we can get in the stores like white bread only contain starches and germ. Hey, they got rid of the bran layer. That bran layer's got goods, like B vitamins and minerals. Well, the inclusion of the grain as a whole is a big part of diets like the Mediterranean and Alternative Healthy Eating Index diet, and has been shown to reduce the risk of depressive symptoms. The Mediterranean diet includes some of the previously mentioned helpful foods and consists of whole grains, vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, seeds, and spices. Number 5, consider taking amino acids. Amino acids might sound all sciencey, but not to worry, they're simple. So simple, in fact, they're building blocks. They're the building blocks that make proteins. We need them, yet our bodies don't produce them, so we have to eat them. One of those we need it but don't make it amino acids is tryptophan. Tryptophan is essential to make serotonin, so you may need enough of this. You've heard about how tryptophan is in all sorts of food, from chicken to turkey to tofu, so eat up. Foods like quinoa, eggs, and red meat contain all the amino acids, so take care of your gut and dig in. And number 6, go low sugar. Cutting back on sugar has become a popular trend nowadays, and for good reason. Taking in an overabundance of sugar not only limits collagen production, but can also impact your mental health. Unlike the helpers mentioned before, sugar increases inflammation, making depressive symptoms worse. Sugar is hard to avoid though, because it's sort of, well, everywhere. The good news is that it's not really sugar that you have to watch out for. It's the glycemic index you want to keep low. The glycemic index is a measure of how quickly a food makes blood sugar rise. The GI can even change depending on how a food is prepared, like a baked potato having a higher GI than a boiled one. A quick check on a food's glycemic index will help you on your journey of healthy eating. You are what you eat. We know this, and yet often forget that our bodies are not solo instruments, but a whole chorus, opera, and orchestra working together. It only makes sense that what we digest will have a domino effect on everything else. Have you heard of any of these tips before? Did we give you maybe some healthier alternative snacking ideas? Please remember that before implementing any drastic changes, have a chat with your doctor. We hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and share, and see you next time.
Everyone deals with depression in different ways. Some try to handle it by themselves, while others get help. We're not telling you that you can fight depression on your own, but there are definitely certain things you can do for yourself that could help massively. Here are 10 self-care ideas that you might want to try. Journaling. You might be surprised at how big of an impact this can have. Many studies have looked at journaling as a way to fight depression, and the results are very promising. Journaling forces you to reflect, and it helps you get things off your chest, even if you're just admitting things to yourself. Reconnect with a friend. Even if you have no desire to get out and talk to people, you should probably at least make an effort. Researchers have looked at the most effective strategies for dealing with depression, and actively participating in your own social life is a very beneficial tactic. Humans are social animals, so we actually need a community of some kind. Comfort food. Certain foods and diets definitely have a strong effect on depression. You could choose to go super healthy, and that definitely helps with your state of mind, but you might be surprised at the antidepressant qualities of various foods, including chocolate, which has serotonin boosting qualities. tea, and even coffee are actually great for fighting depression, and this is backed by numerous studies. Humor. You've all heard that laughter is the best medicine. Well, that might not be too far from the truth. Humor is actually a great way to deal with depression. Watch a funny movie, see a stand-up comedian, do whatever makes you laugh. Laughter releases endorphins and decreases stress hormones, among many other benefits. St. John's wort. We all know that antidepressants are one of the most common ways to deal with depression. These are special medications prescribed by professionals, but some might want something a little more natural. If this is the case, then St. John's wort is definitely an option. This natural herb has proven effectiveness against mild depression, although it won't do much more for severe cases. Physical activity. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. Time and time again, studies have shown that regular, rigorous exercise is one of the best ways to fight depression. Exercise releases endorphins, which are natural feel-good chemicals in the body. Seeing the physical changes in our body after a hard workout is a great mood booster as well. There's really no downside to getting a little exercise done, and you're pretty much guaranteed to feel pretty good afterwards. Bibliotherapy. Another proven method of dealing with depression is bibliotherapy. Although the word might sound complicated, it's actually pretty simple. Bibliotherapy is the use of books in therapy. This is probably one of the most popular self-guided forms of therapy out there, and it has a great track record. Usually, there's an initial consultation with a professional therapist, and then the patient uses a book to guide themselves along their therapy journey. The book instructs the patient on how to improve their mood, deal with depression, and conquer anxiety. One thing to keep in mind is that it's only recommended for those with mild depressive symptoms. Yoga. A few different studies have examined how yoga can help with depression, and they've come to the conclusion that it can be very effective. Some would say that yoga is just another form of exercise, but in truth, it's more than that. Many people describe yoga as a kind of meditation in motion. It can be spiritual in nature, and it can also be very introspective. The results speak for themselves. Meditation. Meditation might just be one of the oldest self-care techniques in history. People have been meditating for thousands of years, and the effects of this practice are well documented. The aim of meditation is to attain inner peace, which makes it a perfect strategy for combating depression. One of the most popular methods for dealing with depression these days is mindfulness, which is a type of meditation which focuses on being of ourselves, our thoughts, and the people around us. Numerous studies have examined the effects of this on depression, and it has proven to be quite effective. Put simply, it gives us greater appreciation of our own lives. Massage therapy. It's always good to treat yourself to a nice massage, but if you're trying to pursue a lifestyle of self-care, then you might want to seriously consider massage therapy. We left this method until last for a reason. Massage therapy is only loosely linked with decreased depressive symptoms. It won't cure depression, but it will decrease stress levels. And hey, getting massaged is never a bad thing. What are some self-care techniques that you do to fight depression? Let us know in the comments below.